Hello, hello, I am back. You find yourself dreaming of being in your underwear facing down a hideous monster. Alright. Okay, so thank you for reminding me to eat. Let's see here. What do I have that is consumable? Got more yucca. We'll see. Well, wait, I want to plant the yucca. Onions. Could do that because I have some onions planted. I'd rather have my meat cooked. Golden carrots. Alright. These have produced grapes again. Awesome. Alright. Crow, go away. Don't be rude. Alright, let me plant some more grape seeds while I figure out what we're doing for the day. Alright. Here we are. Oh, my bad. Alright, there's onions growing, we got potatoes growing, we got corn growing. Let's go check if I want to plant anything else before we start our day. Parsley, there's more rice, more potatoes. Let's see about planting some of the Hearth and Harvest grapes. There we go. Alright, so hopefully everybody had a good day yesterday. I did. And it wasn't the best health day, but, you know, things like that happen. Let's get... There we go, and I want to put the grapes next to each other, so let's figure out about this corn. There we go. Ho. Grapes. Woohoo! Alright. Got 9 oak. I do want to build some cabinets inside the base so I can get my inventory management done, because having it all mixed up in regular crates, in regular chests, bit difficult to find anything. So this is really my first foray into producing content. I think you can tell by me not having found my voice yet. But, I mean, I made a tape when I was 8 years old. And it was called The Aliens Are Invading. And I pretended I had my own little radio show. And that aliens were invading. And the bit that kept recurring is that somebody would blow up the alien spaceship. And I would say, boom, there goes the alien spaceship. Boom, there goes the escape pod. Boom, there goes the escape pod from the escape pod, etc. and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But I actually had that tape for years and years before finally losing it in a move, which really sucked. But, you know, you lose things when you move. Some of them are important, some of them are just nostalgic. Now that reminded me of my page on Facebook, which I don't really use Facebook anymore, so that page is just sitting and not getting used, but it has quite a few subscribers to it. It's called Cat Memes for LGBT Teens. And it was just a whole bunch of gay cat memes. And on that, I had a persona of Cat Dad. And Cat Dad would dispense dadly advice about being accepted, accepting yourself, being okay with being different, and it would all relate to the stories of a shelter cat that I was focusing on that day. Because myself and my partners would go to the shelter every Wednesday and pet as many cats as possible. Where's this? It's anchored here. Okay. But there were approximately 200 cats at this shelter. And many of them were feral and would live in the feral cat barn. But it was a no-kill shelter, so they took, whatever cats. And if the cat wasn't friendly, the cat went and lived in the barn. But they would have problems during kitten season and not be able to, not have the room to take in more kittens. So what people would do is, oh, you don't have the room to take in my kittens? I will leave them on your porch in a Rubbermaid tub. And just, now you have to take them. And it was really sad. Not as sad as the story of my ex who worked in a shelter, and they did the leaving the kittens on the porch in a Rubbermaid tub thing with air holes, and then it rained that night, and all the kittens died. Sorry if that's depressing, but people are shitty. People are really shitty. So, yeah, on that note, oops. No, but we would go to the shelter and we would pet all the cats, and we got to know a lot of them. And there were a couple that were semi-feral, but not actually feral. And they were kept in quarantine in a cage in the front of the shelter, and we got permission, since we were, there all the time, to go ahead and open their cage and pet them. And so we did, and they hissed at us, but didn't growl or anything like that. And we were like, quiet, you're not actually going to do anything. So, we slowly made friends with them. And the day that we picked up one of the cats, Patches, and she actually started purring while we were petting her. We knew that they were going to be okay, and then COVID hit, and the shelter was closed to visitors. And we had spent all this time socializing Patches and her sister, BW, who later became known as Doubles. But we had spent so much time, socializing them, and now we're going into lockdown, and all that socialization's going to be gone because, they're not being pet and held at least once a week. Just fed and, their litter box cleaned. They weren't really good at socializing the animals because they had, 200. So, some of them that were really friendly would get pets, but for the most part, they didn't really get people contact. So we're like, no, they're going to go feral again if we can't, show up and work with them. So we arranged to foster them. And when we brought them home, they sat on the couch for a long time before exploring, and then anytime we would come near them, they would hide from us. Silly babies. And eventually they got to the point where they stopped hiding from us sometimes and would jump up on the arm of the couch while we were watching a movie or something and sit like 2 or 3 feet away from the humans, the scary, scary humans. And so I knew they would turn out fine. Well, because of things that happened during and after lockdown, we actually never got to return them. So we still have Patches and Doubles almost 6 years later. And Patches actually, she was the scaredest one. She's still pretty spooked, but she actually jumps up on my bed while I'm sitting next to it at my desk and just begs me to pet her. She's the sweetest little thing. I love her so much. All right, the day is ended, so everybody have a wonderful day. Hit those buttons. Bye-bye.